What is up, everybody? Electric Infamous here, and welcome back to my channel. Now this is a different video. I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a deep delve into the Destiny a little bit. Now, as I previously mentioned, since I am doing a Shadowcaster with the Dolkafar, like I said, Wood Elf, as they are properly pronounced as, what I actually ended up doing, if you go under the status after you pause your game, you'll be going to the effects, and I went with the Belen's Blessing. Now, why did I choose this? Well, you're about to get the answer to it. And the reason why I went with Belen's Blessing is because whether if you're like you can use any kind of blessing as you see fit. It doesn't matter what kind of a build you do. It all depends on what you want to do for your typical style of play style. Okay, so the reason why I decided to go with Belen's is because you get 1% chance to critical hit, and then you get plus 8% critical chance or critical hit damage. Oh my god, listen to me. My bad. So that's one thing about, especially if you're going with Shadowcaster. Now, if you're going pure finesse, I would probably maybe recommend going with Belen's Blessing, because you're doing much more critical hit damage with the pure finesse build, because even if you go with chakrams or not, but that's more like finesse sorcery or pure sorcery or battle mage, which is going to be the might sorcery build as well. So, like I said, you have a lot of differential ways of playing this game. But anyways, going back to playing as a Shadowcaster, preferably, which I'm doing, or if you go on pure finesse, the Belen's Blessing is going to be the best thing to choose with or go with to use, because you're doing the chance to critical hit, and then on top of that, you're putting the plus 8% critical hit damage. Okay. And it also depends on the gear that you will be using as well. Since I'm going with the Shadowcaster, I'm going to be going with more on the rogue. Yes, I'm going to be doing some magey style a little bit, but I'm also going to be a rogue at the same time. So you want to be able to have you want to be able to have a gear set to where you could be able to do critical hit chance and then do the critical hit damage on top of that. So it also depends on the gear that you will be using as well, whether if it's crafted or whether if it's that you already have what you can find throughout the world of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning here. So now I thought I'd get that out of the way. I did a little bit of um, misinterpretation there a little bit early in the video, but regardless, I'm not going to worry about it. Now, as I previously mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the Destinies, okay? I'm not going to go too in depth. All I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go into the rogue, because like I said about the rogue style in this game, they actually did the archery in this game really damn well. I'm really surprised of how they implemented it in this game. And the reason why I'm going with the Shadowcast is because, as I previously mentioned as well, is that you can do really cool kill animation camera system in this game. You can do different types of animations of the assassinations, which is amazingly awesome as well. So what we're going to do is that I am now going to be going into the finesse sorcery. Now, since we are in the rogue as of right now, I mean, as you progress further into the game and leveling up even more, you'll be able to put each different kind of points into your skills or your abilities, so that way you know how you're going to be much more effective within those rights. So as you go completely up to Shadowcaster, which means you have to get 55 in sorcery and then 55 in finesse. Now, the leveling up in this game is, it feels to me that it kind of feels like a little bit of that Borderlands style leveling system, which is pretty cool. I like that aspect and that concept, and it works really well, really, really well. I like that. So But each Destiny, since you're going with the rogue first, because since you're first starting out, as I previously mentioned, it's like you will be continuously leveling up. And then once you get to the point in the finesse, once you get up to Nightblade, which is going to be 109 if you're doing pure finesse, okay? But if you're going to just do finesse sorcery, like I said, you're only going to be putting 55 in finesse and 55 into sorcery, which would be the Shadowcaster. Now, what's really nice about the Shadowcaster, besides the, like the Spell Cloak, the Warlock, or the Arcanist, or the Disciple, the Shadowcaster, you're going to be doing basically plus 34% elemental damage, plus 20% piercing damage, plus 13% chance to critical hit, plus 2 mana regen per second. You get Dread guaranteed to critical hit versus enemies in panic. Poison Blink short... Oh, my bad. Poison Blink 3, short range teleport with poison effect, replaces dodge, which is even more cool and more awesome. And then you get the Drain Mana critical hits, restore mana. Now that's what's really cool about the Shadowcaster. Now we're going to go to the Spell Cloak. Now if you're going to go, like I said, each of these, especially in the Finesse Sorcery hybrid Destiny, now since I'll be leveling up eventually my Finesse up to 6 and my Sorcery up to 6, I will be going into Disciple, which means I will be only doing plus 18% elemental damage and 7% of piercing damage. Then once you get up to Arcanist, which is going to be Sorcery 14 and Finesse 14, you'll be doing plus 22% elemental damage, plus 10% piercing damage, plus 3% chance of critical hit, and then you'll be doing Dread, guaranteed to critical hit versus enemies in panic, and then Blink short range teleport replaces dodge. Okay. Now once you get into Warlock, that's going to be your Sorcery 25. That's going to be your Finesse up to 25 as well. Thus would you be doing plus 26% elemental damage, plus 13% piercing damage, 7% chance of critical hit, 1 mana regen per second, plus 1, excuse me. Dread guaranteed a critical hit versus enemies in panic, as I previously mentioned through the Spell Cloak or Shadowcaster. And then Poison Blink short range teleport within poison effect replaces dodge. That's really cool, especially if you're going to be doing since you're going to be doing poison within your rogue mage, basically, as it is, or Shadowcaster, either or, it doesn't make a difference. It's the same thing. And then once you get into Arcanist, that's going to be Sorcery 14, Finesse 14. So as you see here, it's pretty much going to be saying the same exact thing precisely to what the Spell Cloak and the Shadowcaster and the Warlock will say. But the only difference is that it's only going to show you like the Dread guaranteed chance of critical hit versus enemies in panic, and then the Poison Blink. The Arcanist is going to have only the blink, but it will not have the poison effect on it. That's the only difference, but they're still the same thing. But that's the only difference is that when you get up to Arcanist, you won't have your blink as having the poison effect on it. And then when you get up to Disciple, which is basically you have your Finesse up to level 6 and your Sorcery up to level 6, I feel like I already mentioned this, so I'm not going to say anything more or not saying anything less. So that's pretty much it for the Shadowcaster build. So that's basically how this works. Now, as you see here, you have your leveling bar. Okay. Now, when you level up your character, whether if you're doing full might, full finesse, or full sorcery, or if you, like I said, if you're doing a hybrid, okay, the leveling system in this game is the same as what you level up in Borderlands 1, 2, 3, or whatever, okay, because you have that leveling bar. But what's interesting about the leveling system in this game, especially with the armor or for your weapons, they will only be considered as... Actually, let's go to the weapons, excuse me. Now, my scout daggers, I found these. I didn't have to make these. These are requirements of level 1, which means that would be your level 1 for your finesse tree. Your finesse, like I said, If your finesse is at level 1, you can equip level 1 weapons or gear. That's what this game does in terms of the different leveling system. Because, like I said, it has the leveling system that of Borderlands, but it has to do with the gear leveling or the weapons leveling. But it also depends on the leveling of your sorcery or your finesse or your might. So I thought I'd just throw that in there. So that's pretty much what the somewhat of the deep delve of the gameplay mechanics in this game in terms of the weapons and in terms of the gear and how they affect your sorcery or finesse or might build rather than the leveling of your character itself, if that makes sense. So bear in mind, like I said, I thought I'd share that. But anyways, but to much further ado, this is the Electric Infamous. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I thought I do this quick video as well. So if you have any comments, questions, anything that you might have, I'll be more than happy to reply and or answer whatever you might have. So you guys have a great one and have a great night, and I'll chat at you later. Peace.